What's up, everybody? This is your boy Chainsaw. Boy, there's a lot that has been transpiring in the last 24 to 48 hours, so let's just jump right in. Firstly, Missouri God Emperor Mike Parson is wrist deep this week in cronyism. Imagine that. On multiple fronts. And speaking of bad cops, crooked cops rather, we're going to discuss multiple stories from DC to Kenosha to Seattle to Chicago, this and so much more. So let's just jump right into it. Now, firstly, in some of my investigative journalism, I have come to find and am of the opinion that Governor Mike Parson refuses to wake up, grab a brush, put on a little makeup, hides the scars, to fade away the shakeup. But what I can't figure out is why'd he leave the keys up on the table? So here we go, creating another fable. You can quote me on that, but you may go far. Parson announced in a news release recently this week that he would be making some changes within Jefferson City. Firstly, that the Office of Administration Commissioner Sarah Steelman, she would be stepping down, of course, in the press release or in the news release. He didn't say why, of course. Well, it turns out that she was asked to resign by Mikey P. herself. When asked if she did something wrong, he gave his favorite answer and simply said no. His favorite word, apparently. Steelman, who was appointed by then Governor Busy Hands himself, Busy Hands blackmail Eric Greitens back in 2018. You may recall she was the subject of a federal investigation involving tracking devices that were placed on her vehicle and also the vehicle of the state's former COO, Drew Edman, by a private investigator who claims that they were assisted in their incestuous espionage by Representative Dottie Bailey, Republican from Eureka. The former commissioner's husband, David Steelman, he had remarked that after his raising objections regarding one of the governor's advisors using their connections with the University of Missouri to seek business for lobbyists, that he would lose his position on the university's board of curators. Well, turns out he was right. After the former commissioner's husband went public with this accusation, the governor demanded his resignation, and after refusal, ultimately fired David Steelman for, as he put it, because he wouldn't play ball. So we'll leave that to your opinion. Some things and some people are just too valuable for Mikey P to let go completely. Now, you may also recall Acting Director of Social Services Jennifer Tidball. She recently made headline news when the U.S. Department of Health, the Human Services Office of Inspector General reported a lack of oversight by her department regarding nearly 1,000 missing foster kids in 2019. Failure to report to authorities of absences, unlicensed youth residential facilities that were accused of abuse, and the lack of massive layoffs of employees within her department, right? So surely she was also fired, right? Or at least given the opportunity to resign. Not exactly. She was actually bumped down to COO, Chief Operating Officer, of the same department. Cronyism is the word of the year. Earlier this year, Parson also vetoed legislation that would have required the DSS director to be confirmed by the state Senate. King Parson clearly knows better, and he is quoted as saying that this kind of democracy undermines the executive's constitutional authority to appoint and compensate department directors. This is in order to get paid. They would have had to being stated by the Senate, but of course he can just make and break people at his will. So more power in his hands and apparently under his eye. You can't make this stuff up. The silver lining here is that a former acting director of the Department of Health and the Department of Health and Senior Services, and Chief of Staff Robert Knodell, he's going to be replacing Steelman as the acting director of social services. Now, again, the silver lining is that this is the same guy who back in July, while Mikey P was duking it out with hospitals over, how much federal taxpayer money he was going to, give them versus how much he had been hoarding for, since March of last year, right? This is the same guy who came out on Twitter, calling the baloney, against vaccines exactly what it is. Baloney. This guy. Let me pull this up. So right here, right? Missouri health officials call COVID vaccine falsehoods a bunch of baloney. So this guy, he's going to be taking her place. And we can pull the Twitter feed here. I'm not one to vent on Twitter, but enough is enough. All this rhetoric against COVID vaccines is a bunch of baloney. You don't have to trust me. Consult your family physician or pharmacist. If you don't want to protect yourself, do it to protect your family, neighbors, or strangers who may have vulnerabilities putting them at grave risk you may not even know about. We all care about and look after one another. Let's stop this virus in its tracks once and for all. So awesome. Robert Knodell. Well, let's take a look here. Called it what it is, baloney. Now, that being said, according to his Twitter account, he identifies as Deputy Chief of Staff, of course, Office of Missouri Governor Mike Parson, follower of Christ, husband and father. Okay, well, at least he's a public servant first, before a religious ideologue, even though his family still comes last, but that may still be good news for the rest of it. It truly remains to be seen. So with that, and to follow up on yesterday's show, we mentioned about how Governor Mikey P got so many hits on social media. Apparently that's the number one. So Governor Mikey P it is. I don't know. So anyway, God Emperor Mike Parson, in his infinite wisdom, as we covered in yesterday's show, was given some information regarding a security breach. And by security breach, I mean a lack of security in state websites. Now, that information was leaked, rather hand-delivered with a nice pink ribbon, red bow, if you will, by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. We covered that in yesterday's show. So the AP published this here. Let's pull this up. Missouri governor urged to appoint cybersecurity panel. So great news. We're being proactive, doing something besides just attacking journalists. So let's take a look at this here. 3 months after the creation of a commission to identify cybersecurity risks in state government, Missouri Governor Mike Parson has yet to appoint any members. Boy, does that sound familiar? 3 months. Kind of like how last year, President Donald J. Trump, you guys remember him? I'm sure Mikey P does. Signed into law the stimulus package at the end of last year, at the end of his term, well after the elections, right? Signed into law another stimulus package that was going to allow for rental assistance, which again took months to be created. I think it was like a month and a half before it was even created by the state. And then another, say 4 to 6 weeks, potentially another 2 months before it was actually implemented by the state. And soon after one part of that program that was created by the state to use those funds several months after it was actually the funds were allotted for and released to the states to be used at their discretion for the purposes that they were allocated from federal coffers. Half of that program was canceled by the governor in his infinite wisdom. So, yeah, 3 months after they were looking into creating a commission for cybersecurity risks, I'm not surprised. No one else really should be. This guy. I think the new nickname is going to be Governor Nap Nap, because he's not really big on coming to work. Missouri Governor Mikey P has yet to appoint any members. A state lawmaker said Friday that vulnerabilities exposed on a state website prove the need for just such a panel of experts. Democratic State Representative Ashley Aun of Kansas City helped write the section of Senate Bill 49 that created this Missouri Cybersecurity Commission. Parson, a Republican, signed the bill into law in mid-July. Yikes. In light of the events that have transpired this week, I believe the governor cannot wait any longer to appoint members to this commission, so it may do the critical work of identifying and rectifying gaps in Missouri's cyber infrastructure, or just lazy coding. You get what you pay for, and spending cuts, right? Alan said in a news release, a St. Louis Post-Dispatch journalist uncovered a security flaw in a Department of Elementary and Secondary Education's web application that allowed the public to search teacher certifications and credentials. For those of you who didn't catch the show yesterday, the newspaper found the social security numbers of perhaps 100,000 teachers and other school officials from around the state where they were in the HTML source code of the pages involved. You know, like when you accidentally pull that up on a website that you're browsing, because, you know, your cat hits the keyboard. Definitely a thing. The Post-Dispatch alerted the department on Tuesday, and the agency removed the pages. The Post-Dispatch said it gave the state time to fix the problem before publishing a story on Thursday. But Parson on Thursday announced a critical investigation alleging the newspaper's journalist was acting against a state agency to compromise teachers' personal information in an attempt to embarrass the state and sell headlines for their news outlet. We will not let this crime against Missouri teachers go unpunished. You freaking kidding me, guy? There's your embarrassment right there. The crime against Missouri teachers is it's a lack of follow through in doing your job, Mikey P. I'm just saying, where you been since mid-July? Stop it. They gave you a house. You only have to pay rent. I mean, Allen accused Parson of a smear. You know, he doesn't have to worry about rental assistance. Besides, he got PPP money, so he definitely doesn't have to worry about rental assistance. I'm just saying, you know, don't believe me. You don't even know if I'm wearing pants. Allen accused Parsons of a smear campaign against the Post-Dispatch journalist when it was Parsons' administration that stored the private information and left it unprotected. The fiasco perfectly illustrates why Missouri needs to get serious about confronting 21st century cyber threats. More like 20th century, but that's cool. An email message left Friday with Parsons' spokeswoman was not immediately returned, but during his news conference Thursday, Parsons said the state is working to strengthen our security to prevent this incident from happening again. The state is owning its part, and we're addressing areas in which we need to do better than we have done before. We're owning our part. I think you just missed the buck there, bro. Ian Caso, publisher of the Post-Dispatch, said in a statement that the newspaper stands by the story, and the reporter who said he did everything right. Oren Kerr, a law professor at the University of California, Berkeley, an expert on computer crime law, said the fact that Post-Dispatch journalist looked at the HTML source code is not a crime. Again, could have been a cat. Okay, if your protocols are that weak, come on. The Supreme Court has recently said the federal computer hacking laws calls for gates up versus gates down inquiry. Kerr said, and when you post information and source code on your website on pages the public is supposed to access, the gate is up. So. Good luck with your investigation there, sir. Sir. It's not looking really so well for Governor Mikey P. Serious question though: should Mike Parson be recalled like immediately for this and other just ridiculous actions? You know, we have shown just on this show that Mike Parson is not above going against Missouri state law, federal code when it came to things like the unemployment cuts, the premature unemployment cuts, stuff like this. I mean, cyber terrorism? Come on. Should Mike Parson be recalled immediately? Let me know in the comments. With this kind of logic, I mean, is anyone else really surprised that Mike Parson hasn't accused the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Inspector General of themselves taking those 1,000 kids mentioned in the last segment for bringing that to the attention of the state? I'm just saying, with this kind of logic, these are the kind of people we're dealing with here in Missouri. So, yeah, that's all I got for you in this segment. We're going to take a short break, and let me know what you think in the comments, bro.